replay. You are appreciated. So hang tight. We're coming back in about a minute.
Seconds.
Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready?
Ready!
How dare you!
Welcome to Comic Book Spectrum, a Rising Tide Broadcast Network production. Get ready to explore the world of comics, past, present, and future, with our panelists Eric Hawkins, Brian Rodman, and Clyde Hall. And now here's your host, Brian K. Morris.
And good evening, everyone. How the heck are you? Welcome to Comic Book Spectrum, the show that is positive about comic books and isn't afraid to tell you that. Anyway, we're glad you're here. We've got a very special episode tonight. We're not at our full strength tonight, but we're still going to have the show, and we're looking forward to your comments on what we're doing here. And if you have any questions about comics in general, aside from the comics we're reviewing, we'd love to see them. And if you're watching us on the rerun, put some comments down below, please. We would appreciate that. And talking about things we appreciate, we want to thank our sponsors, namely Rising Tide Publications. Look out for the Terrors coming later this summer. It's currently in production, and we think you're going to like our take on the Golden Age. Anyway, that's Rising Tide. Excuse me, I hit the wrong one. They both look alike. Rising Tide Publications. Check us out this summer, and check us out on Amazon and Smashwords for more stuff. And also, like the New Adventures of the Blue Circle from Prose Press, and also Major Marjorie with two of the authors will be here tonight. And Tim Bruckner and Jim Beard and Alessia Kent helped us write this, along with Charles F. Milhouse as the editor. It's a great, great book available now on Amazon. And also, we want to thank Plasma Fire Graphics. Check out their brand new spot here. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
You've worked hard and written a great book. Now, it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasma Fire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
Check out the Plasma Fire Graphics Facebook page. Look at all the printed examples there. You are going to dig them. And then go over to plasmafiregraphics.com and ask Jeffrey Hayes about his indie creator-friendly pricing. You'll be impressed. Plus, he not only can do the cover and those great book trailers, he can also do the graphics that'll help you sell that book of yours or your comic book. Consider that as well. It's Jeffrey Hayes at Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you, because it definitely matters to your readers. And we also want to thank our Patreon supporters. Patreon is a monthly subscription service where you can support your favorite creators directly. And tomorrow they're going to find out what book I'm going to write next. And I'm excited for them to find out. And they're also going to get to read the first draft of it. So please consider supporting us on Patreon. And the money goes towards buying books and buying equipment for the show and rentals, etc., etc. So it does not go to waste, especially not mine. We don't buy pizza with it. But anyway, check us out and let us show you what we have to offer you in return for your support. That's at www.patreon.com/Brian K. Morris. And now, without any further ado, and we're not going to say adieu to this guy for at least an hour because we like him so much, and we're going to be working on this show together. It's the one, the only Clyde Hall, the gold standard of reviewing. How are you, Clyde?
Hey, well, they just issued a severe thunderstorm warning for our area, so stay tuned.
I may be doing a solo show later on. Huh?
Stay tuned. You don't know what you may see before tonight is through. So,
you may see Clyde disappear. You may see him freeze up. You may see his skeleton.
Yes.
Oh, but well, we will hope. We value your input here.
You could be the sole survivor.
And for those of you who are wondering, Brian Rodman had a prior engagement. Eric Hawkins is celebrating his 10th anniversary, I believe it is. Yay, Eric! Good for you, my man.
Congratulations, Eric and Jennifer.
Sincerely, yes, from all of us here at Comic Book Spectrum. So they're out celebrating. And then Joe D. McFee, who has graduated from bench warmer on up to full-fledged pilot here. He has roofers coming in, and they're currently working on the house. And I've been inside when roofers have been working. It sounds like a very bad drum solo that won't end. So we don't know if Joe will be able to make it for the rest of the night, but we've got Clyde. We don't need anyone else.
I don't know about that, but here we are
hanging out. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with your comments, and please keep them up. And Donna Carleen hurries in, finds her seat, gets out her popcorn. She is ready. Carl Witzman also slides into home base there. He's also hurrying, and she pops the safe. That's right. And pops the top on a black and red Camacho cigar metal holder, says Donna Carleen. Ooh. And check out Donna Carleen and Carl Witzman on Lulu.com. They both have a pair of brand new books come out. And you're going to want to see it. And yeah, she's smoking serious now. She's smoking anyway. We love her. And stand back, folks. Don't do this unless you are a pro. And hey, Brian. Hey, Donna. Don't let stop you. Light that stogie up. And hey, Clyde.
Hi, Donna.
And down to 2. Yes, we are down to 2. And then there might be just 1. We don't know. And well, I'm sure you can handle it. Well, we can barely handle it when there's 5 of us here.
If we're a dynamic duo, it's okay. If the storm comes through, you could be the dynamic duo.
Yeah, true. Duo. We may be drafting members of the audience. Who knows? Davies Artistry says Fab 2. Yeah. Do that. Hello, superheroes. Hello, Ted Davies Artistry. Check him out tomorrow morning with Glenn B. Fleming on the Ted Davies Artistry YouTube channel. Please subscribe to that channel because they're going to talk about is tomorrow their George Perez show, or is it just going to be a general thing? I don't remember, but tune in. It's always interesting. All right. And hey, Ted, says Carl. And we are, it's amazing without Eric's family here. This goes quickly.
Well, we should have gotten him into a contract to make sure that Lissy and some of the others tuned in anyway.
Yeah. So. Really? Well, I think they like to just show up to hassle their dad.
They can hassle us. We don't mind.
That's true. We will take your abuse, kids. Boy, will we ever. And here we go. And Donna says, hey there, Ted. Tomorrow night looks delish. Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, I saw that drink. I think it's a coconut-based drink tomorrow. I like coconut a lot. So,
Ted, you need to go out there and get The Wrong Earth, the series that they're doing right now, which is each one is a different writer, different creative team. Because in each of those issues so far, The Wrong Earth from Hoy Comics has had a list of superhero-based adult beverages and the ingredients and how to make them and everything. So every time I see that page, I think of you, Ted. So,
Yes. And I think of Christine because she's the real host.
well, okay. She doesn't smoke as many cigars, so Ted, I favor Ted.
I understand that, but Ted dares not smoke them in the house. Otherwise, they will be finding pieces of Ted all over it. So, dangerously, right?
That's right.
And let's see. Ted Davies says he's looking forward to it, Donna. And don't ask for abuse. No, most of the time I'm out begging for it and waving 20s to get it. You know what I'm saying? And Clyde says, okay, Clyde, I'll take you up on that.
There you go.
All right. We struck a deal here. This is great. So anyway, folks, this may be a short show, and that's fine. That's fine. That was originally was meant to be, but we started having too much fun. So how about I go through? I'll start, and I'll talk about the stuff I picked up this week.
Sure, go ahead.
All right. Well, first of all, we started catching up on more Doctor Who.
Yay!
Hey, I think we're about most of the way through 2021. I have no faith in getting all of 2020.
We did have big Doctor Who news this week too.
Yes, we do. A new companion is aboard the TARDIS, and we got the next Doctor announced like a week prior to that. And also, I've seen photographs of David Tennant and Catherine Tate on the set.
Ooh, I had not seen that.
Oh yeah.
Cool,
and
cool.
He's got the spiky hair back. He's in the suit. She looks like she hasn't aged even a second. So it's Russell T Davies has started the work on the new season of Doctor Who, which I'm excited about. I mean, I'm one of the few people who actually like the Chibnall seasons, but it's going to be so cool to have Russell T Davies back, you know, because I love his fearless writing. I really do. And Carl Witzman says, "Stupid o'clock will be happy." Yeah. That's true. That's true. For once, we aren't running over there. And check Stupid O'Clock out on the Stupid O'Clock channel on YouTube. Joe Dog McKeel and friends will be talking geek for about 2 hours, starting at 9 p.m. tonight Eastern time, and then followed by Dan Hollifield's great Last Man Standing. It's been a great week of broadcasting, a lot of good stuff. So, and this will be no exception. And yes, the 60th anniversary of Doctor Who is coming up, and this is what it was for, is my understanding. And they're already talking about who else might get asked. I know that Christopher Eccleston said he's not interested, and because of his former problems with Russell T Davies, and also, who else? Peter Capaldi. He said he didn't want to do it. And I understand he's doing some new stuff. And we do have a volunteer to come into the stream here. Let's see who it is, shall we?
Beep, beep, beep.
It's Jody McFee.
Hey!
Joe, you made it.
Yes. I fell for that old trick. Well, everybody said it's like, will a volunteer please step forward? Everybody else step back. I was
Yeah.
That'll teach you
around here, man. They said who has the least dignity? Well, Joe has a lot of it. We'll do him anyway. So yeah.
Well, hello, Pally. Now we have the Rat Pack.
That's right.
I'm actually happy to be here tonight because it's been a lot of stuff going on, and I need a break.
I understand. I understand that completely. So anyway, we have not introduced. We have the fanfare here from Carl Witzman. Brace yourself, Joe. Yay!
Yay!
Yes, and Donna. Hey, Joe Dean from Donna, Carly, Carlene. So and now that there's more than two of us, I think we probably ought to go around and introduce ourselves. What do you think?
Oh, let's do
we
it.
Got this guy, this guy, that guy, and me.
Okay, good night, everyone. Anyway, but nobody cares who this one is. But anyway, let's start with Clyde, then we'll go to Joe, and then I will wrap it up. Okay, Clyde, tell everyone who you are and why you're so amazing. Also, while he's still here.
Yes. Well, I was telling them they issued a severe thunderstorm warning just as the show started. So if it may just be the two of you eventually. So, but for now, I'm Clyde Hall, and I'm an independent author and contributing writer at the online review sites of Comics Bookcase and DoomRocket.com. In addition to 1/5, normally 1/5, this week 1/3 of the comic book reviewing refreshment that is Comic Book Spectrum. Also, a contributing writer at Stormgate Press. They are a leader in new pulp adventure, and that is not just hyperbole. They are winners of the 2022 Pulp Factory Awards for Best Pulp Novel. Yes.
That wasn't good.
Best Pulp Anthology.
There's one around here somewhere.
Best Cover Art.
This is good.
And Best Interior Art. And as far as the cover, Clayton Merwin's cover right here, the winner from this year's Pulp Factory Awards.
Switch.
So, and that is also
Switch.
Pulp Reality 2.
I think he showed the cover. Switch.
Yes, you showed the cover. I didn't realize you'd done that.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Yay!
Yeah. And that's Clayton Merwin's award-winning Pulp Reality #2 cover. That is Pulp Reality 2, the award-winning anthology. So, if you like award-winning new pulp action, you need to go to www.stormgatepress.com and see everything that we have out there for you. And also check us out on Amazon, where you will find things like Tim Bruckner's Major Marjorie. I've got a story in here. It is available right now. It's been out a short time, but if you like that kind of cover, if you like the old-fashioned sort of pulp science fiction, you owe it to yourself to check us out.
Definitely. Thank you, Clyde.
Thank you.
And here he is. We can't say the late, just the little tardy. Joe D. McFee. Joe, Talk about yourself.
Oh, I'm just that one son of a gun that just don't deserve to be right here reviewing comic books right about now, because I do have a Kickstarter that will be launching this Saturday, where a certain person who will still remain nameless is going to host and give me the third degree about what is going. Yeah, that dude right here. You know, only thing that's missing is that posted that frame that says wanted.
I'm America's least wanted.
Exactly. Well, I wouldn't say least wanted. I'm the least wanted for right now.
Nonsense.
But as you can see on the screen right here, that's not me.
I think lightning's getting Clyde.
Uh-oh. Yeah, so that's the link right there where you could go out to Kickstarter to take a look at our campaign. Now, from the Desolate Ball Press Publisher, this Saturday evening will be our launch party. You come out to our launch party. I'll be there to answer any questions about the Amazonia series, the things to look for at issue number 7, and I will be hopefully, keeping fingers crossed, we'll be revealing the first trailer for Amazonia number 7.
Nice.
It's something that's been in the works for a while here, and I'm just waiting until Saturday to show you guys here. Hopefully it goes off perfectly. I might have to do some tweaking to it a little bit later, but it's not going to be like, oh, I'm Joe D. McFee and this, that, and the other, and please buy my book. No, we're 7 issues into it. I'm going to try to do it as movie-like as possible using comic book panels. So hopefully it works out. And now for the main feature, Mr. Brian K. Morris.
Huzzah. Anyway, I'm Brian K. Morris, independent publisher, freelance hybrid author, award-winning author now for this book here, for this story in this book, Snow Ambition. I won the Pulp Factory Award for short story. I'm very proud of that. And I'm also a former mortician's assistant, which may explain a lot about me. You can find all the stuff that I'm about Amazonia, by the way. But anyway, risingtide.pub, that's where you can find links to my books, my broadcasts, and just anything that's about me. Also, you can sign up for my free monthly newsletter while you're there. So please check out risingtide.pub. And I'm really excited. We read the comments from the house while you were preparing yourself, Joe. So I'm thinking,
excellent.
Yeah, so we got that out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking, you want to start the switchboard today?
Oh, yes. Well, that's a couple of things that I do want to mention before. Well, I'm going to do it all in one fell swoop. So whenever you're ready, let's go.
All right, take it away, Joe D. McFee.
And welcome to tonight's comic book phone, which is sponsored by EcoWorks.com. EcoWorks, where you could get Eco Raven, The Last Unicorn, which was currently on Kickstarter, which is fulfilled right here in this handy dandy little pitty packet right here. You can go right out there to EcoWorks.com if you didn't get your latest and greatest issue right there and order it from Daphne Lage directly.
Huzzah!
Let's not forget the Nebulizer 2.
Bum, bum, bum.
Hasta la vista, Mighthead. That is currently out there on Kickstarter. As of right now, it had reached its funding goal. As of right now, it's $181 over its normal funding goal here. It's trying to hit its first stretch goal with 64 hours left in the campaign. If you haven't backed it as of right now, go out there and take a look at the Nebulizer number 2, Hasta la vista, Mighthead.
Bum, bum,
Right now,
bum.
got that link right there on your screen here. Now,
How
with
many
that
people
being
does he
said,
have? How many people does he have, Joe?
94 backers as of right now can't be wrong.
That's no, he's done very well. But let's get him up to 100, folks. If you're watching, 6 more people, and we get and that'll be one of the stretch goals, I understand. So please check out the address there and donate generously.
And with that being said, we're going right into tonight's selections for the evening. If you want Flashpoint Beyond number 1, select 1. If you want Hit Me number 1, please select 2. If you want Glit number 1, please select 3. Please select now.
Ooh, so many choices. All right. Okay, there we go. And tell you what, I will go next. And then we'll let Joe, and then we'll end up with the best of us all, Clyde Hall.
I guess people are not.
You
voting.
might want to put me first because I may not be here as we get into the evening. It just depends on.
Oh, good point.
Right.
Then we're going to start with Clyde, and then we'll go Joe, and then I will wrap things up. Okay, the votes are already coming in. Woohoo from Carl, and 2 from Donna, Carly, Carlene, 1 from Ted, and 2 from Carl. So the votes are cascading inward. So you're right, Clyde. You're right. So we're going to start with Clyde, and just in case the lightning comes in, and so take us away, Clyde.
Well, first I want to say, Jeffrey Hayes at Plasma Fire Graphics. That is an awesome ad. We had the new ad this time, didn't we, Brian?
Oh, for the Terrors?
Yeah. Well, I was just different music, different covers, but
yes,
all the testimonials from all of the folks that he's done work for. So,
wasn't that great?
Much respect, Jeffrey Hayes. I always enjoy seeing the new covers coming out, and that ad it's a great ad. So, thank you for your sponsorship, but also thank you for the work that you do on the covers of our publications.
Definitely.
Yay!
Yay! Yes.
And also check out my profile page on Facebook because he has an image that is going to wind up on the Terrors series that I'm putting out. So
I think that's the one on my shirt too. Not this shirt, but I have a shirt with that same image.
No, it's a new one.
Oh, it's a new one. Oh, okay.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Nice.
It is beautiful.
But as you may notice, I'm wearing. Oh, also, Joe. Before we get started, my vote is for number 2.
Okay.
So, I'm wearing my Naughty Grinch shirt. It is not because everything else is dirty. No, I did this intentionally because my review tonight is for a holiday themed book. It is called The Naughty List, number 1. And
remind me of David Hasselhoff.
He does kind of, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's the Hoff. He's the Santa Hoff. Yeah. This is a book that I picked up just kind of on a lark, and I'm so glad I did. Naughty List number 1 is from Aftershock Comics. Cover price $4.99. It's written by Nick Santora. Art is by Lee Ferguson. Colors are by Pippa Boland and Juancho with an exclamation point. So it's got to be Juancho. Letters are by Simon Boland, and it is rated mature. It's quite mature for a holiday themed kind of story. So while I write for various sites, this is my own independent feature, and it should not be considered representing any views of any of those sites, including Comic Book Spectrum. So I want to show you some artwork. I will be getting into the good and the bad, but I am not swept away by the art. I do like the cover. I think it's fine, but I'll let you guys see some of the interior art and get some feedback from you. Here we have a mystical star in the heavens and a fellow who's working by the clock, literally.
Yeah. I like that right-hand page.
Yeah. Here we see he's a wood carver. He's doing wood carvings. He has his child on his lap. Mm-hmm. And later on, we get a little bit of flying reindeer action.
Nice.
And one of the really nice visual parts is we have some features at the end, like the 9 rules for workplace safety, if you're working in Nick's workshop, and employee of the month, and the this weekend at Antler Downs Racetrack and the Racing Forum for the for that venue.
Oh, I love those names.
Yeah,
Slay It Ain't So.
Slay It Ain't So. Yeah, will you be putting your vote? Will you be putting your money down, your bet down for Yule Logarithm? Slay It Ain't So. Rebel Without a Clause. Chimney Cricket. Resting Grinch Face. Rudolph Lundgren, or Greg.
Nice.
Greg the reindeer. Yes. That is a really good slice of the kind of humor that you can expect out of this title. There's some language and things because it is for a mature audience, but last week we talked about the Grim Reaper and the many iterations of the entity personified in comics and literature and film, from Gaiman's Dee Death to Prince Sirki to George Lass to Joe Black. Death has been done to death. So starting anything new with a human becoming the Reaper or death trying to be human, it needs a difference. It needs something like a possible unique angle, an updated view, apropos to maybe a modern view, an unusual circumstance, or even a book thief twist works. And that was kind of lacking in the book that we talked about last week, Grim #1, to me, my own personal view. Santa Claus is another character who's had a lot of coverage and variations and reimaginings over the centuries. Whether he's looking for Macy's-based Miracle on 34th Street in New York City, or he's outrunning their Central Park Rangers, he can be difficult putting a yarn spin on the right jolly old one, which has not been spun before. However, Nick Santora has managed just that with his crew on Naughty List #1, the new limited series from Aftershock Comics. It's Santora's first comic, but readers may know his scripting work from the 2008 Punisher Warzone film and some TV work that he's done, including The Sopranos. And he's also done Prison Break. And most recently, he's one of the writers for Reacher, which I have heard very good things about. And after reading this, I can believe it. I'm going to let you hear what he had to say on the announcement of the release of Naughty List about what inspired him to write it, because I think he capsulizes the spirit of this book very well. He said, and I quote, "I love Christmas and the Christmas season, but I'm always perplexed when I hear people complain about Christmas, and they feel that the Christmas season has been getting a bad rep lately. People complain about having to visit relatives or having relatives visit them, and then they complain about the gifts that they get and how it wasn't what they wanted. And I just think it's a great time of year, and the inspiration was for Christmas to get tough and punch them back. That's what Christmas does in this book. It punches back at all the complaining and the criticism. And it does just that. But again, not the way that I would have expected. I first marveled that it was premiering so far away from the Christmas season. But on reflection, after reading issue number 1, that was good planning, because it's not a Christmas season story. It's more of a, what if the spirit of the holidays was really as awful as all you bastards complaining about it look at it as? What if it was really that bad? Imagine that you're a young Belgian woodcutter, circa 1400 AD, and you make felling trees an art form. You know how to carve. You work for a generous baron. You have a beautiful wife and a young daughter, and life is good. But our hero, Nick Sinterklaas, lives in a time of plagues, and he was saddened to see beggar children on the towns and village streets begging for scraps one day, and then their malnourished and diseased corpses among piles of dead the next. Nick was a compassionate soul, and he gave food and coins that he could spare in an effort to relieve their plight. But their need was great, their numbers always growing, and his gestures seemed inadequate. One night, he took note of a particularly bright star overhead, in fact, the one that you were admiring, Brian, and he made a heartfelt wish. He wished that he might bring even a trickle of happiness to these children, a temporary reprieve, even for a moment, from the hardships of their lives, many of them guaranteed to be mercifully short. Well, he wished that he could make whatever time they had less miserable. So in this book, no good wish, it seems, goes unpunished, because the next day, Nick felt driven, compelled against his will, in fact, to carve little figures from wood, toys that these children could play with. He carved all day long and into the night, and then he delivered them. Joy was brought to the children of the region. And then the cycle began again. Nick lost his woodcutter job because he couldn't pull himself from making toys, making them until his fingers bled from the arduous carving and the wood shavings and all the splinters. And yet, each morning his hands would be completely healed, and he would have to begin again. Well, his family eked out enough money on money that his wife earned and a few small jobs that he could manage in between toy making and toy delivery. And Nick also stopped aging. Several decades later, his wife died, looking as though she might be his mother. His daughter was taken by scarlet fever when she was still a young woman, and Nick looking her age. But Nick, he never aged again. So issue number 1 sets up the rest of his origin, and we see how the curse of the star not only continues afflicting him, but adds new elements to the curse as mankind spreads across the globe and as populations increase and as new technologies arise. Most of the developments we know as enduring parts of the Santa story are not that way for him. They are insidious extensions of the curse utilized to make his existence even more miserable. And then there's the insult, which adds to the curse's injuries. At first, the mysterious man who lives apart from most people to keep the whispers about how this strange, perhaps demonic individual maintains youth all the time. But he was generous to children, and so he was considered a very saintly individual. Today, hardly anyone believes he exists, and Nick grimaces at scientific papers put forth on why the myth of Santa is impossible and laughable. Or, as Nick puts it, how'd you like it if you work your ass off all the time against your will, making toys for increasingly ungrateful kids, only to read continually that you don't exist? And then there's the various images of him that people have built up over the centuries. Old, white-haired, grandfatherly, completely inaccurate. He looks like the Hoff, as you said. Worst of all, to Nick's way of thinking, are those soda makers who, in the 20th century, hired damn fine artists for sign and poster work and have forever cementing his image as not just old, but snowy whiskered, 5 foot nothing, and fat in the collective consciousness of all mankind. So, seeing Santora apply creative twists on just about every bit of the Santa mythos, it's not quite as joyous as A Bright Christmas Morning, but it comes close. And when persons unknown pilfer his naughty list, a list, by the way, which records all our misdeeds from childhood into old age. Nick's had just about enough of peace on earth. Someone's taken his list for their own nefarious intentions, and his goodwill has done went. And the way is paved for a Santa who lands somewhere between the Punisher and Wolverine when it comes to taking out centuries of simmering frustration with a little bit of payback. So, the good of this title. Santora's clever turn of the St. Nicholas and Santa Claus mythos into a curse. Now, we've seen lots of iterations of jolly old St. Nick, but not one quite twisted into this undying, unwilling, and accursed Claus. Even Krampus would have to feel sorry for what Nick's gone through for the last 600 years on both misrepresentation and misunderstanding by all mankind. The layering of the curse in recognizable, albeit inverted ways. The way that the charming mythos has been itemized and changed for a changing world and population and displayed through Nick's perspective as ever hellish additions to his curse is nothing short of brilliant writing. The running inner dialogue of our hero is funny, and it's salty, and it's very unrepentant. Very unrepentant. The gestures of kindness when he was a simple mortal man with empathy for suffering children results in a powerful, inhuman intelligence sticking its evergreen-sized enslavement gift-wrapped as enchantments up Santa's chimney, whether he wants it or not. Who can blame Nick for being more than a little bit grumpy? How grumpy is he? Well, in the spirit of issue number one, making his naughty list could mean that the dark bits that Nick leaves in your stocking, those are not coal. They're something else. It distances itself from the actual Christmas holiday and season very handily. Christmas Eve is the delivery night because at one time in his long past, that was the night when most people turned in early to bed, and he could go about his business and not be bothered and stopped every house. It also made for one big night of deliveries rather than spreading them out over many nights. It's a curse, so why not complete the requirements in a day and work on toys the rest of the year? The 9 rules for workplace safety on Nick's staff and the Employee of the Month page featuring the elf Turtle Dove in issue number 1 are funny entries that include such topics as prohibiting elf stacking and grievous elk attack mishaps when gates are left unfastened. And we get also this great Antler Downs promotional ad and the racing forum. Those are just nice little asides, very nicely done. So those are all the good things of this title. Now here comes the bad. Now Lee Ferguson's art is serviceable. He has done a lot of solid work for all the larger companies and many smaller independent ones too. But his basic style is such, I really wish that somebody else had been the artist on this book. He manages a very realistic and a non-festive aesthetic, which that's important here. But it occupies a void space between somewhere between neutrality, negativity, and joylessness. And it does the narrative few favors with that. The panels don't need to be this flat to achieve the non-festive vibe, I don't think. There's also a very dicey panel proportion. Now, the one with the clock, I agree, that's very stylish. I like that. But how many full-page illos do we really need? The answer is not 8-ish, which is what we get here. There's little action in this opener and nothing necessitating a big splash page, so why do it? Cutting down on the big illustrations, just having their size, would have allowed for twice as much story. So I have a problem with the way it was presented. No sound effect fonts. Now we can let that slide for the most part for all the great lettering that was part of those racing forums and the Employee of the Month postings, but the story could have used some. It's otherwise the lettering is fine, but I kind of miss that. It's my Eric Hawkins side coming out, I think. But even if it feels as though the creative team members may have a few bulbs not twinkling on their string of Christmas decorations just yet, this premiere issue of Naughty List still glows with its clever and offbeat concepts of Santa's magic being a hex rather than a help. And this is how you create a narrative, dealing with a much-visited character or concept, and you boost it with an angelic choir of creativity. My score for the naughty list number 1 is going to be 7.5 out of 10.
Very nice. Very nice. Oh, let me get that. There we go. Oops.
Couple of questions here, because it sounds like what you just described is like partially the Santa from Futurama.
Well, I don't know. I have seen some episodes of Futurama. I think I've seen a Santa episode, but it didn't strike me as a parallel. Now, could be. I don't know. But
now you understand the Santa in Futurama and what he's about, right?
Just in general.
In general, it's like so far in the future, because remember they're like, I think it's like 300 years in the future or something like that. It got to the point where they made this one algorithm for Santa, and eventually got to the point where everybody in the whole entire world was considered naughty.
Okay,
because of that tracking from childhood to adulthood. So instead of giving presents, Christmas became a holiday of fear because Santa got so angry that he started to kill people.
Yep.
As a result of that.
I don't think this goes quite that far. However, when you pilfer Santa's list, you're due some payback, and that's what his whole. Now, I kind of had this question: if he has to go working all the time, even if he has helpers now, which he does in the modern era, does he have time to hunt these guys down? I mean, is the curse going to go? Yes. You got to pass because you have this list and try to figure out who used it. I'm very anxious, though, to see exactly who's pilfered it and why. Because if you had all the dirt on everybody in the world from childhood on, it gives you a lot of power. So I'm curious to see that. But normally, I mean, even though he is grudging, he still gives good toys. I mean, not everybody's on the naughty list. There are people that are on the good list, too. So we get that. It's just... it's not service with a smile as much as service with a from him.
Nice. Very cool. Well, we still have some comments here. Carl casts his vote because he just waits till Donna votes and then does the smart thing and copies her. And about that cover, Santa Hoff. That's kind of scary. And Carl says Santa Hoff is coming to town. Yikes! And 8 full-page drawings. Wow! And
I just think that's a bit much. I mean,
like that one with
the
that
one
star.
page that you saw. At first, I thought it was a double-page spread until I realized no, they're 2 single pages of illustration.
Yeah, it just seemed like it was a little stretchy, but
maybe Brian Bendis was the consultant on it or something. So, there I go snarking on him again. Bad Brian. Anyway. No, very good, Clyde. Thank you very much, sir. And before the storm hit too, so that's good.
Yeah, got it in. Thank you for letting me go first.
No problem. Glad to. And now, Joe, would you like to remind our audience of what their choices are one more time? Although we might have gotten everybody to vote.
Yeah, I think everybody voted except for you. But we got Flashpoint Beyond, which is choice number 1.
That looks good.
Hit Me number 1 was choice number 2.
That looks good too.
And Glit number 1 was choice number 3.
I'm gonna go with number 2. I think.
I've been wanting to hear Joe review this every time he's put it up there for a possibility.
Yeah, me too.
I read it and was very impressed with it myself. So I want to hear. Cool. Yeah.
That's interesting because I did that. I was like, that even makes me even more interested because, my opinion is kind of like my opinion about it, but then again, I also read the second issue.
Oh, no, I haven't picked that up yet. So,
and that's the reason why up here I was like, oh, okay. So I'm kind of curious. If you read both of them, then you kind of understand why I kind of feel a certain way about the series. But it is what it is. But for right now, we're only dealing with issue number 1.
Okay.
So just pretend I haven't read it either because I haven't.
No, I know you haven't.
I can be convincing in this.
Yeah, so I'm just up here. It's like I'm just waiting for the polls to close.
All right, I think we got everybody.
Okay. Well, the easiest thing to always say is like the one good thing is just so as of late, it's always been landslides. They haven't had many ties as of late, and they pretty much hinted about which book won because that was the landslide choice for this week, and that is Hit Me number 1. I'm going to let everybody in on a secret. If you think that this book is about blackjack, you're wrong. However, if you think it's about something that happened in Vegas, you are correct. I will explain why the title is the way that it is in 1 second here. This book was done by Christina Foss, as far as the writing is concerned. And if I remember correctly, I need to get back to the credits page. I read an article about how they came about all of this here. And like I said, it's a short little mini series here, and it's kind of like something that's out of the ordinary. Yes, I said Krista Faust is the writer. Priscilla, I can't pronounce the last name, Petaredes is the artist. Marco Lesko is the colorist. In World Designs did the lettering and the cover. Well, which one is the cover artist of this one, because there are two covers. The cover artist on this one, and I just missed the credits page again, was Jeff Dakel. I didn't realize that Mike Diodato Jr. did a variant cover for this. I would have gotten it, but if it was, attractive, but to me, this kind of really reiterates what the book is about here.
I like that.
We're going to go into the actual story. So on the very first page, we see what you think is an ink blot. So I'm going to come in real close. It looks like it's an ink blot, but it really is not. It's a whole bunch of bruises. And she's looking at her bruises and everything, and she's up here. It's like, well, it's a living, this, that, and the other. So it's up here. It's like, what is she doing for a living that caused her to get bruised up and everything? And I mean, literally, you see like marks, and we seeing how bad this is and everything. And she pretty much indicates that she is a masochist for hire. No, she doesn't give pain. So she's a sadist for hire.
There we go.
She pretty much gets beat up on for hire. And she goes in to tell you about her quote unquote guardian, aka her love interest, which is Danny. So they pretty much work like the Las Vegas Strip, for clientele that is in sadomasochism. And, after she, gets up, puts on her makeup and everything, gets herself together and whatnot, she goes and greets him, and they have their little bit of a tussle, which in a way is erotic to them. So they have their little tussle and everything, and they have like their little bit of conversation, and she tells him about the next job that she has, and she tells him, was like, hey, I have to go back to see a client that I had on Wednesday. He requested us again, or at least requested me again. And he said, that's kind of odd. Normally he's on a set schedule. It's like once a week, this, that, and the other. And she was like, well, it's extra money. I really don't ask, deep questions about it. But since we could use the money, we're going to, do what it is. And they pretty much set up the schedule of how it is. And she was talking about the amount of the paycheck for doing this and yada, yada, yada. Danny, the boyfriend, pretty much has his reservation, but he convinced her, she convinced her to go ahead along with it, in the fact that she constantly jokes like, hey, we're not married, you're not my husband, yada, yada, yada. It's like a one big joke to her. But that's how their relationship is, it's kind of like an open relationship type deal. So that's when you get to the credits page where she actually goes to the Diamond Dust Hotel to meet up with the client. And then the faux pas, we get an advertisement for the Crimson Cage. Yay! AWA Upshot normally doesn't do this, but For some reason in this book they did.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know why, don't know how.
Because it's
And
a good, it's a really good title. That's why.
I was thinking she's doing the sadism thing all wrong.
Because you have not complained about the Crimson Cage as of yet. But it seems like the AWA Upshot books that I have reviewed so far,
mm-hmm.
considering that I did Fight Girls, I had problems with that, especially with the ending. The ending to me just made me like, yeah, I wasted my time reading all 5 issues. But that's a different story. But now we have her going into like the Diamond Dust Hotel and everything, and you know, she's up here looking around at everybody, and she's, you know, kind of like scoping the place out, mainly because she doesn't want to like really be like recognized or you know, put a spotlight that she's there, because it's like if people recognize her and know what she does, it's like they kind of get an idea of who's there in the hotel. So she kind of like scoping everything and scoping the clientele and all the other stuff that people who could, you know, come up and proposition her. And then we actually see the guy that's hired her, which is this guy right here. So Gordon, you know, she's telling the story about how he was, you know, pretty much kind of like a loser, but yeah, he has, you know, a lot of this money and this, that, and the other, and he kind of runs like this sleazy, you know, hotel / casino type deal in Vegas. So she walks up to him and everything and says everything is okay, this, that, and the other, and you know, paints the picture of like their, you know, the client relationship that they have here about him being, you know, a masochist in some form or some fashion. So he dismissed the young ladies that he was with just to talk to our heroine here. And this is where they get into a conversation about Danny. It's like he was like called, you know, he called him boyfriend, but Danny is like I said, it's the bodyguard pretty much. He's there to keep things on the up and up because there's a limit of what you can do. If you cross the line, he's there to exact payback. So there's a fine line between what you can do to her and what you can't. So he was like pretty much asking about that and this, that, and the other. And, you know, and I hate the fact that he used the slur there, but we're not going to worry about that right now because that's just the nature of the book. Yes, she is Asian. The main character is Asian and whatnot. So that's neither here nor there. So they're talking about the arrangement and what room that she would eventually meet him in later on. So with all the security cameras and everything, she scopes out everything. She goes to the security room, this, that, and the other, you know, proposition to one guy. She goes into like the security room. Inside the security room is eventually she meets up with Danny. So this is Danny kind of like showing up and everything, walking around. You know, she's there in actually, this is some other big time dealer. I forgot what he's there for. Well, actually, I know, but I'm not going to ruin it. But at this point, we don't know why he's there. So he's like kind of like the big shot that's coming in. And you could tell by the cards that he has that he's a big time gambler and everything to that magnitude. So when she goes into the security room, she happens to see that this dude is in the elevator and everything. And there's Danny. And they're talking about, you know, how things are going to be set up for the arrangement for tonight and everything to that magnitude. So she disrobes her long jacket and everything. She puts on her clothing for the evening and whatnot, and then proceeds to the room arrangement that they have. And again, we got another ad for The Fourth Man. I forgot what that book was about for AWA, but I really don't care at this point. And then here's the other one for the hotel. So now all of a sudden they're advertising their books throughout the whole issue instead of at the end like they normally would. So I guess they're padding the story for some reason. That's neither here nor there. So there's Danny. He's monitoring the cameras to make certain that everything goes as planned and whatnot. However, you know, as she goes down to the room and everything, here comes another stranger coming into the room to the client that she's supposed to meet. And then all of a sudden they get into a tussle. Danny sees it. He's like, okay, fine. I got to get down there. Something's not right. I got to take care of this. So inside the room, you know, you have the client at gunpoint, and our heroine is there. She's about to see, you know, about to see what's going on, and she sees that the guy is up under gunpoint. Her client says, "Fuck you," this, that, and the other. All of a sudden, here comes Danny. It's like hands where I can see them, and he's like, "What the?" And then dude fires, hit the client and whatnot. And then all of a sudden, it's like a big gunfight breaks out. Everything goes black. She kind of blacks out for a second. She realized that she's okay, but there's a lot of dead bodies on the floor, and Danny is holding like his leg. So so the main heroine goes over and sees like there's the bag where her client had and whatnot, and she picks it up and it's diamonds. So she's up here thinking, is this what he's going to pay us with, or what's the real deal? What's going on here? And you know, she's up here cracking jokes about Danny, about Danny being the protector and whatnot, and the fact that, you know, he survived everything, but his leg is really, really messed up. So they leave the room with 2 dead bodies. They, you know, hit the elevator and whatnot. They leave the hotel and then, you know, she's up here still drawing up business for her services and whatnot. And they leave to some place where they could go to get Danny's leg looked at. And that's how issue number 1 ends. So at this point of the story, and like I said, I have already read this issue. And to prove it to you, and I'm not going to ruin it because I want people to read it for themselves. That advertisement right there is this book right here. So I do have it. So at this point of the story, I actually kind of enjoy what I've read up to this point as far as what actually happened and what actually took place in the room. And the other thing that I like about this issue is that they kind of gave you a sneak peek of something that happened in issue number 2, which I thought was nice. Now, the letter from the actual artist, it was kind of okay. It wasn't all that great, to be quite honest, but it kind of gave you an idea of what to kind of expect here. And the rest of the pages were advertisement, including Brian K. Morris's new favorite series, The Joneses. But overall, it's like, for some reason, AWA Upshot books, it's either a hit or miss with me. And so far, everything that I read for them that I actually bought have been like, it starts out very, very good. And then, like I said, using Fight Girls as an example, if it wasn't for that last issue, I probably would have a better opinion of that series. Because the way it ended made the story make no sense. By the time I read issue number 1, and what I should have done was read issue number 2 before I reviewed it, because I read issue 2 and I'm trying to leave what I know about issue 2 out of this review at this point. But taking it from just the issue number 1 by itself, it starts out with a great mystery about what had transpired and why that client needed to see her. Now, the throwing in of the diamonds could be a great thing or it could be a bad thing. We don't know as of yet. However, the way that they're setting up the characters and the relationship that they have with one another was great. So with that being said, with expectation of the series getting better, I give it a 7.5 out of 10, because it's a lot of stuff that hasn't been addressed, but it gave you kind of like that opening to say, you know what, I might give this another look and see where they're going to go with everything. And the fact that they using kind of like the sadist masochist type atmosphere to pretty much, to characterize the main characters of the book and what's going to end up happening. Kind of, at first I thought it was going to be a big monkey wrench to it, but it actually added some spice to the story, because the way that she will look at what's going on, and like I said, it's like her reaction to what transpired and waking up from blacking out and seeing the two dead bodies and the so-called bodyguard / boyfriend just hurt. Her reaction was like, oh, I'm not freaked out about this. It's like, okay, fine. I know where to take you before we could go and get you patched up, where we could plan our next move or our next, paycheck for me doing what I do. And that type of mentality goes a long way in just, defining characters in even a short miniseries like that. So that would explain my rating of a 7.5. Now, if I would have added issue number 2, the rating would change dramatically. But I'll leave it up to you to either A, go and pick up the book and read it for yourself, or wait for me to actually get to issue number 2 before I could explain why I say what I said. But for then, enjoy issue number 1 at a 7.5. And that's it. I think Brian, you there? Hello, Brian.
Well, the storm hit him apparently instead of me. So.
Oh yeah. And I have no control here. Let me see.
Yeah, me neither.
I got something here. Hold on. Nope. Nothing from him. I guess. I don't know.
Carl may. Carl, if you are
Carl,
watching.
I don't have controls anymore. I could do some dancing and whatnot, but
I think everybody that has the controls, they're gone tonight, except Brian, and now maybe he is. So did you feel like it was a good representation of sex work?
Not in the same aspect here, but it's more of the controlled aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the thing. It's like it's almost like you're getting a glimpse of one side of the picture.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more, and to me, it's like the trust that she has with Danny was the thing that really made me more interested in this.
Right.
Because again, Danny saw what was going on before she got to that room.
Mm-hmm.
And as any good bodyguard is supposed to do, and this is what I found kind of strange, was instead of just being like, okay, everybody don't move, you grab old girl and get out of there, that gunfight happened. And it's kind of like, well, why didn't you guys just leave the situation? That had nothing to do with you.
Right.
That's I didn't look at it as a plot hole as of yet. But like I said, for reading issue number 2, there's some other things that's going on, and he's asleep.
Poor Brian. That's okay. AWA has put out some titles.
No, I think his screen had frozen.
Yeah.
Going like.
AWA has put out some titles here lately that have caught my attention, and I agree. Some of them, The Fourth Man was a really good start, did not quite stick the landing, but it depends on what you want for an ending as far as mystery, and it's a whodunit. And in some ways, they did a really good job. Other ways, it was more like, okay, I don't think I could have solved this with all the information I had, I couldn't have solved it. So that's a little irritating. So semi-stick, it left it on a really good, the last panel is really good for that. But if you're looking to solve a mystery in a comic, it kind of failed. It kind of failed in that respect.
Mhm.
I did not like, that was the one that had all the people that looked like the actors. As it went along, they did less of that. And I think it's because they maybe got in trouble because they were taking pictures, taking pictures and using the photos. So it had some issues. Thank you, Carl. Yes, thank you very much.
Yes.
Now, the Crimson Cage, of
Mhm.
course. Now that's an adaptation of the Scottish play, Macbeth.
Yeah.
So the ending is you kind of know where it's going if you've read Macbeth, okay?
Right.
But the way that they stuck the landing on that one, okay, because it was what you expect. But putting it into a wrestling motif of the 80s was really, really well done, I thought. But they always do interesting things, even this is coming from sex work from an angle and a whodunit. They're giving people a chance to write some really, really good stuff if they can stick the landings more often, I think.
And that was the thing about Fight Girls. It's like, okay, Frank Cho like art, a decent story about a competition to determine the next queen of this galaxy.
Right.
And then you get to the final issue and they tried something so anticlimactic and does not serve the purpose of why go through this whole competition.
Right.
With the case with the assassination plot. It's like they did all this to assassinate the would-be king. That's stupid.
Right.
So it's like she won just to get close enough to the king to kill him. And then the person who that she was just got through fighting was there to help, and all the other ones were there to help, and they died. It's like, no, that's just stupid writing.
Well, Joe, we were talking before the show that the Eisner nominations have dropped. Have you had a?
I haven't looked at who has been nominated as of yet. But then again, normally I would have got a ballot by now.
I made a few notes on it, but also before we get too far, it looks like Ryan Permisson has joined us. Hi, Ryan.
Hi, Ryan.
And he has given us a question of. Let's see if I can find it again here. Favorite George Perez trade or single issue and why? So maybe we should talk about that real quick.
That's good. That's a good one, a hard one. Depending on which generation you came from.
I know what you're gonna say. I bet.
What am I going to say? What am I going to say? Well,
you got two different things. He did a redefining of Wonder Girl, but I figure that it's Donna Prince or Donna Troy. So you'll not. But he was pretty instrumental in a Wonder Woman run that defined her for the 80s, right?
Define her for 80s, 90s, and the early 2000s to a slight degree.
Okay. I just figured when I saw that question, I'm like, ding, that's Joe. But maybe not. Maybe there's something else you like more.
Like, everybody going to think that I was going to say something like the contest. And I'm like, no. That's why I say it depends on what generation that you're in. Because to me, his most influential type work was always with the Avengers or with the Teen Titans.
True. Very true. I was thinking the Judas Contract of the Teen Titans. I can remember the first read of it, especially when you have the traitor that oh yeah, it's a powerful story. If you're looking, Ryan, for of course JLA Avenger, the Justice League and Avengers, that's a good one. I'm glad that they brought it back out and gave people a chance to have it because. Yes. I mean, I don't think anybody could have pulled that off like George Perez. So that's one, definitely. If you're looking for something different, Marvel put out a limited series, and I don't know that it has aged well. It probably has not. But it gave us a chance to see a more adult George Perez take on a limited series called Sax and Violins.
Why
Do
is
you remember that?
familiar? That sounds familiar.
It's obscure. It's probably not as politically correct as it should be today by today's standards, but it gives us a look at George being able to do some adult material. These are like hired killers. So, it's a very much more grown up story than some of the other things that he presented. So I always hold that up as here's one you don't hear or see much about, but it's his art. It's very good as far as the artwork goes. But those would be, I think the Judas Contract, the Avengers runs. Yes, I agree. Korvac. One of his early ones was the Korvac saga.
That's the reason why I said most people don't know about the Avengers.
Yes.
Korvac, again, people who don't know about Korvac. Korvac was a human being that was captured, taken to the blue side of the moon, and was experimented on to the point where he got all these powers. And by the time it was all said and done, he finally comes back to Earth, really messed up in the head, not understanding how to control his powers, and pretty much decimated the Avengers to the point where Thor had to go and ask Odin to transmute everybody back to life.
Yep.
That saga was awesome.
So the Korvac saga, the Judas Contract, and then just for something off the wall, JLA Avengers, and then for something just off the wall, give Sex and Violence a look and just see what you think about it. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. It's a side of George's work that we didn't get to see all the time. So it's a novelty.
And if you just want a beginner primer of what he can do, that's when you start with the Wonder Woman, from Wonder Woman #1 through, I want to say, like 40 something, because he stopped writing, I think, about like issue 20. No, he stopped drawing around issue 24, but he kept writing until about like 40 something or 50. And it looks like you got information.
I got?
No, did you get new information? Because you look like you're reading something.
I'm just getting caught up on some of the comments. They were trying to get a hold of Brian. I think it's just us for right now, though.
Okay. So that's the key thing. Oh, there he is.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, there he goes.
Sorry.
He's back.
Sorry.
It's okay.
No, we was just going to town with Ryan's question about George Perez and the little known gems
or trades that we recommended, or individual issues that stand out.
Yeah, and like I said, I surprised Clyde. It's like Clyde would think, I was like, oh, it's definitely going to be Wonder Woman. It's like, no, the Avengers was way more in depth than what he did. Now, granted, that his magnum opus. His magnum opus was what he did with Wonder Woman, because he did his history homework. He actually took the character. He understood what Moulton was trying to do with her, and then flipped it on his head with the actual Greek heritage. Brought it back out in the 80s, and it was just gangbusters from there. That's his magnus opus. But before then, you have the Teen Titans, what he did with the Teen Titans. You have what he did with the Avengers. It was just so many other great works before he got to that run of Wonder Woman.
Oh, yeah. Well, my favorite George Perez story was actually one of my favorite comics ever. Fantastic Four number 176, I believe it was. And it was written by Roy Thomas, inked by Joe Sinnott, and drawn, of course, by Perez. And it's one with the Impossible Man, where he learns that Marvel, of course, the way it works in the Marvel universe is that they do comics too of the various characters, but the Marvel bases them on the real adventures, so that they don't, it's not made up. It is actually like rehashing what they had done. Like the FF send their adventures to Marvel, and then Marvel makes comics out of them. And so the Impossible Man says, I'm going to get a comic book. I'm going to get my comic book. And so the FF raced him to the Marvel offices. And there's a great scene where Stan Lee is like marching up and down the middle of his office. And then there is George Perez, Jack Kirby, who was back at the time with Marvel, and Roy Thomas. And, they were like, well, we haven't gotten the stories from the FF yet, and we're due. We've got to get the issue started. What do we do? Jack, do you have an idea? And Kirby goes, I got this idea, Jack. Why don't we make up stories about the FF? And Roy's like, yeah, that would work. George could draw it. I would write it. And Stan's going, no. Nobody would buy that stuff. Nobody would believe that. And so the Impossible Man, of course, is using his shapeshifting. It's causing all kinds of havoc. And it's got George drawing various members of the Marvel bullpen, like John Verporten and all. And it's just funny from one side of the story to the other. So that's my favorite Perez story. So.
Nice. I can kind of see that. I think I've read that issue before. I'd forgotten that was a Perez story.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
That was good stuff. That was real good stuff. So
the Impossible Man, I used to track down his appearances because I always liked, no matter what they did with him, I always liked the Impossible Man showing up.
Those were fun.
When they had Galactus get indigestion by eating his home world, that was great.
Yeah, that
was hilarious.
That was a John Byrne.
Yes, it was. Yes, that was so good.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right. So I trust we have answered Ryan's question now.
Yep, that question has been answered. I don't think there's any more.
I don't think so. No. And hello, Joseph Morton. Glad to see you here. Hello there. Hi. All right. So anyway, there we go. So, all right.
So we're ready for you, Brian.
But am I ready? No, apparently not. No, it's very warm in here is the thing. So my room, the room here is at the very end of the cooling system. So anyway, sorry about that, folks. But anyway, and thank you, Carl, for being willing to step in. So anyway, yes, yay, Carl, our hero. So
Carl,
I will.
The Jarvis of the spectrum.
That's right. Yeah, no kidding. Couldn't do this without him.
I cosplay Alfred. Carl is Alfred.
Oh. Well, it was another light week at the comic shop. I did pick up some more comics from Free Comic Book Day. Of course, you can't go without Donald Duck.
Yay!
And this has stories from the 80s and even one from 1965. There's a Super Goof with Goofy in here. It's a lot of fun. There's no Carl Barks, unfortunately, but some good stuff from, let's see, William Van Horn, who did one of my favorite comics back in the day, The Jackalope. Then he started doing stuff for Disney, and then also Al Hubbard from 65, and The Big Bad Wolf. It's just a lot of fun stories in here. Definitely worth trying to pick up there. And I almost said it's worth the money. But anyway, then we got also from Comic House, Equilibrium. And what this is pretty interesting. If it features a 70s character called Captain Canuck.
Oh yeah,
you remember?
Yeah.
Captain
I know
Canuck?
him. Yeah, absolutely. I got his first issue.
I do too. Yeah, it was a good book, and I talked to him once. It was a great story because he's actually a Christian superhero. And he told me that he got pushback from the distributors. Don't you dare have him pray before he goes into battle again. But the character, if he looks somewhat familiar, this story not only brings back Captain Canuck, it also brings back the Claw from 1940.
Yeah.
From Jack Cole, also Silver Streak, and let's see, we got a list here. Silver Streak, Captain Battle, the original Daredevil, and to give you an idea, here's a spread that opens the thing up. And then we go into here with the full page spread here. And some of these are not the same characters from way back when. They are new iterations. And no, it's not the Daredevil Matt Murdock. This is the guy with boomerangs and stuff.
So what are they calling him in this one? They've called him Red Devil. They've called him the Devil. They've called
Dark
him
Devil. Yeah. They are calling him Daredevil in this, but they are not referring to him directly by name, it looks like. But anyway, the art is real nice. The story is by Keith Champagne, who broke into the business as an inker, but in recent years he's demonstrated a real flair for writing. It's written by Keith Champagne, and the art is by Scott Brian Woods, with colors by Mariano Morales and letters by Andrew Thomas. So there is some good stuff in here. The art looks really good. The storytelling is real nice, but it's a nice little sample, and there's some more of the various characters there. Definitely, I'd be interested in picking up the regular issues of that. It looks that much fun. Then, of course, we can't go another year without 2000 AD. Why? Because I am the law. Anyway, it's got a great story in here with Judge Dredd, written by Al Ewing, who has done like Thunder Agents for DC. He did Spider-Man for about last 3 years. And, of course, Pat Mills, Kevin O'Neill, John Wagner, Mick McMahon, Chris Burnham, Henry Flint, Jamie Delano, Alan Davis, because it has a page in here of DR and Quinch.
Oh.
Created by Alan Davis and Alan Moore. But there's about 4 different stories in here. Nemesis the Warlock is in here. Of course, Judge Dredd. It's got a really, really fun ending. Judge Dredd being the fascist that he is. Super Bean.
Okay.
He's about a bean. He's a bean with superpowers. And some future shocks, some real short horror stories in here. Definitely worth picking up. Always a good time. And then this one fooled me. I thought it might have been like one of the Classics Illustrated. Doesn't that look like a Junior Classics Illustrated cover?
Yep, it's definitely made in the way to make you think of it.
Yeah, and
an homage.
Yeah, it's a good homage. The lead story is Charlie and Humphrey by Justin Sane. And it could be a real name, and John Hagman. Mike Gustovich has a short story in here. And Mike Gustovich, he did like the Justice Machine and such. And then he did a lot of inking and penciling for Marvel and DC, and then he just kind of went back to the indies again. It's not bad. It was good to see Gustovich back. And then there's like a short black and white story in here. Actually, the lead stuff is in color. But there is a short story here about the Foo Fighters. Kind of like the old rock and roll comics. It's not bad. It's worth every penny you didn't pay for it. Okay. Now for the stuff I did pay for. Knights at the Dinner Table, Brian and Brendan Frame did another beautiful homage cover to Fantastic Four early 30s, Their Death of a Hero. And in this one, there is a giant mix-up when everyone seems to think that Brian, or not Brian, but B.A. has gotten his girlfriend pregnant. And poor Stevel can't get anybody to sign up for his game. And plus, there's all kinds of good gaming stuff and information. Great articles in the back. I always like this book, but it may not be everyone's cup of tea. Then World's Finest Comics.
Yay!
Yeah! This book just gets better and better with every issue. Definitely worth picking up. I give this one a 9.5 out of 10. Blue Flame was amazing. Yeah. Wasn't this good?
What a great issue. I mean, it's been a good series, but this really turned things around. This is good stuff.
Yeah, the last 2 issues kind of felt like, okay, we're shifting gears, we're setting things up, and this is where we start to see the payoff, as the Blue Flame is basically has escaped his bonds, from the aliens, and knowing that they might destroy him and the Earth if he doesn't come up with a reason why they shouldn't, he takes off. Meanwhile, back on Earth, his sister's pregnant. He's in a mission. His life is like spiraling out of control. She has lost her job, his sister, because she's pregnant, and that's the only money any of them's got coming in. And so there's a lot going on in this issue, and it's definitely worth getting. This is gearing up. I think we're 2/3 of the way through the series now. And there are variant covers, but Blue Flame, I'm giving this one this one's a 10. This one just pushed all the right buttons with me. But that's not what we're going to review today, kids. And Clyde and I were talking about this beforehand. It's not. This is from Archie Comics. They, of course, are the masters of all ages comics, except for like Chilling Tales of Sabrina.
Yay!
Yay! Yeah. Well, I remember the one that came out about 10 years ago. Eek!
Okay.
Yeah, the original one where
it depends.
where she's like the daughter of Satan. And then there was
Yeah.
that. Then we were Clyde and I were discussing before the show that terrible issue of the Archie horror comic. Yeah, the least said the better. But what they did was they released a one shot this week featuring the old MLJ character, the Fox.
Yay!
Yeah, and this is good stuff. It starts out with a story by Dean Haspel, writing and drawing, and real clean artwork.
Mm-hmm.
Real nice story there. Shows the whole Fox family, and then there is a second story. And you can see he's fighting his inner demons, and Eric would probably be putting pictures of this up on his ceiling in his bedroom.
Oh yeah.
We just need a horse skeleton. He's got it going on here. And then there is a backup strip by some other creators that looks real good, but it matches Haspel's style.
Mm-hmm.
It is really solid entertainment. But the real joy of this one is they reprint a story from 1983 and almost 40 years old. I'm ancient. But this is by the late great Alex Toth.
Yes.
He wrote and drew and lettered this.
Mm-hmm.
And it is clean. It's an intelligent story. And Toth is one of those artists that I read an interview where he said he spent the first half of his career trying to figure out what to put into the artwork, and then the second half trying to figure out what to take out. And he did the total job here, except for coloring. But look at the dramatics here, the dramatic angles. And he did his own lettering, so you see the sound effects in panel 4 there.
Mm-hmm.
Just all kinds of great art. And then there's some articles in the back about this book and about the history of the Fox. This is one that it shows mature storytelling on Alex Toth's part. And by mature, I don't mean adult. Mm-hmm. There's no gore. There's no nudity. There's no swearing. But it's like watching a Humphrey Bogart movie.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. It is so good. And, of course, we got an ad for the best Archie comic ever. We got Pure Heart the Powerful there and a dinosaur. Oh, my God. It's got to be awesome. But anyway, the Fox here, it is a one-shot. And let's see. And the creators of the second story, let me find it here. Vito Del Sante is the story writer, and the art is by Richard Ortiz. But this is definitely worth the money. I think it's $3.99. Pick it up, if only for the last story by Alex Toth, so you can see one of the great masters of comic art and writing at work. This one's a 10 for me. The Fox is great. It's also available on Comixology, which is where I got it, where I've got it here. So anyway, and it's a one shot, so you're done in one. Although Dean Haspel, along with writer Mark Waid, did I think 2 trade paperbacks worth of Fox stories several years ago. So those are worth picking up too.
Of all the MLJ characters, the Fox is probably the one I know the least.
Yeah, same here.
So I wasn't expecting very much. But that modern story, the Toth stuff, excellent. But the modern story is, okay, you've got basically a masked adventurer. These are vigilantes.
Yeah.
He, his wife, his kid. You've got the Fox, you've got She-Fox, and you got Ghost Fox. And yet, each one of them has their own view on being a vigilante, their own perspective. That story does a great job of pointing them out with humor and with some insight. And, that modern story, I was bragging about it to somebody else, and they said, She-Fox, that's weird. Why didn't they just call her Vixen? And I said, because DC. And they have lawyers. They're like, oh yeah. But I was really impressed. I'm hoping that Archie's turned a corner here from their kind of, let's just print out the kind of stuff we used to print out and not really let's have everybody just kind of phone it in, the old fashioned kind of stories. This is a return to things like Jughead the Hunger, Afterlife with Archie, and some things that I was really enjoying until they kind of put the kibosh on all of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and some of the Red Circle stuff they put out in recent years has been extraordinary. And the last couple's Sabrina series have just treaded that line between the old material from back in the day and something new and fresh and contemporary. It's been I've really enjoyed it. There's been very few misses as far as Archie has gone. So,
but they've kind of taken a hiatus from all that quality stuff that they were doing, and they've just been doing reprints for a while now.
Well, and so many of them.
And that's fine, but and then they just got way off my radar. But this has put them back on, so hopefully we'll see some more of this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I would too. And if you have an Ollie's near you, I know that my local one has some of the trade paper. Ollie's is a place of magic, of enchantment, Joe. And if you lived in a larger city than Chicago, if you live someplace like Lafayette or Frankfort, Illinois, the fabled land of Frankfort, Illinois.
Actually, it's Benton, I think, that's got the Ollie's here.
Is it Benton?
I think so. Because I looked at it, you said it was not too far from me. I'm like, well, how close? Benton. Well, that's not too far, but I haven't been down that way yet since we talked.
Yeah, I was told that it was in Carbondale, and I looked all for it, and it was instead it was where Rick Bradley lives. So
okay, it may be West Frankfort, but it looked like when I looked it up, it looked like Benton. But maybe it's between Benton and West Frankfort.
Could be. It's just off the interstate. So
yeah.
So, but definitely worth picking up. But they had Archie, Reggie trade paperback with writing by Tom DeFalco.
Ooh,
and it's good. It is very good. So, Joe, if you ever get out of that hick town you're in, go downstate. You might be able to sample some of the joys that Ollie's has to offer.
Can I point out a couple of books I got this week that
please do.
Count Crowley issue number 2 came out.
Nice.
And it is going back to. They took a couple of extra weeks, and it starts off a little bit weak, but it goes back to. By the end of this issue, we're back on track. So I recommend it, and I hope that they continue along that line. Also, I have been looking forward to Savage Avengers just because David Pepose is a writer that I respect. And I like the fact that the team that he's come up with here, even though I don't know all of the characters very well, we have Daredevil, but the female Daredevil. We have Cloak and Dagger.
Elektra.
Daredevil.
Elektra, Daredevil.
Yep. And we have Cloak and Dagger. We have Weapon H, which I was not familiar with, but who was introduced quite nicely in this issue. We have Deathlock the Demolisher. We have Conan, of course.
For a while.
And we have Anti-Venom.
Huh.
And it's such a diverse group. And some of the characters, both old and new, they do a very good job of introducing them. It's a little bit purple prose-ish, kind of a Stan Lee take, but you get all of them together in one issue in a way that makes sense. That's a pretty good writing achievement, I think. I enjoyed it. It gets into, I would rate it about an 8, just because it's written well. It's serviceable. There's a couple of eye-rolling moments between characters that you go, oh my gosh, just get past this and let's get on with it. But then he does. Every time you say, let's just get on with it. Oh, okay, we are. So, but just for that weird lineup, I want to see what he does with it. So I'll be. This is a new Marvel title that I'll be picking up from now on.
Nice. Well, you did hear that Marvel is losing Conan again.
Oh, I hadn't. No. When is that going to take effect?
Pretty soon. I think that there's like a corporation, the estate of Robert E. Howard, I think, that is basically wanting to put out their own comics. So
that's it. Going to be interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Although Marvel, my understanding is that Marvel has the rights to reprint anything it has ever done with Conan now, or the Robert E. Howard properties, such as King Conan, Cull, hopefully Solomon Kane, because then Brian Rodman can see the Mike Mignola art for it.
Yes.
Yes. So,
yes.
and Joe's like, no.
No, I'm not
Not one of your favorites, right?
as an artist, no.
Yeah, yeah. I like his.
I just like Solomon Kane. I don't care, and because Mignola is doing it, you'll have more people that will be exposed to Solomon Kane, and
right.
I consider that that's a win.
that would be good. But yeah, all the Savage Sword of Conan stuff, all the Conan the Barbarian, they still have and the Savage Avengers. Marvel will still be able to reprint them,
right?
As far as I know, in perpetuity. So, let's see.
How about some free comic book day books that you didn't mention yet?
Yes,
such as Street Fighter Masters #1, which features Blanca.
Okay, my shop didn't get that. I don't think
that was a free comic book day book. Yeah. This issue was quite interesting because it talked about his life being the way that he is, because he doesn't look normal, and the fact that he's one of the few Street Fighter legends that brought attention to Brazil and fame, and people, look at him as like a national hero now, as opposed to like a monster type deal. So that was kind of like, a lot of his backstory and side stories as far as that is concerned here. And people don't know when I'm on a live stream, but
I get that all the time.
Then I got finally I was able to track it down. Got me a Dark Crisis #0. Still haven't read it yet, but I'm looking forward to it. I know nobody have really shown that much. Then here's one book that I did not know about, but I'm quite certain that somebody's going to eventually get to it. It is a Marvel Comics called Judgment Day that has the Avengers, the X-Men, and the Eternals. And it's kind of like a one-shot story. So I have never, heard about this one-shot coming out, as far as all three of those teams coming together to fight something. So, that's probably going to be an interesting read. And then here's another company that I never heard about, but they gave it to me as a free comic book day. It's called 10 Ton Press. And it's kind of like their preview book, and they got titles called Red Dawn, Crimson Storm, Becoming Frankenstein, Fight, Rock and Roll, and this other book called Charlie and Humphrey. So that one is like, it seems like it could be interesting. They might, really previewing the books and everything. And then we got another Spider-Man and Venom book, which was a free comic book day type deal.
Yeah.
And then, yes, I was able to snag one myself.
Good man. Yay.
Yep. But those are some of the ones that, most people didn't talk about. I know that a lot of people got like I think it was like a My Little Pony one. My Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have not come in as of yet. I do have the free comic book day Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that came. So that
I didn't see that either. But yeah, and this one here was also by 10 Ton Press too.
Oh, okay.
The one I talked about earlier. So yeah. So
I find it kind of interesting, because one of those things that I'm always been thinking about is like, should I do a free comic day book? And if I did one, what would it be? And if I did, which franchise to pick? Because I didn't want to do like a sampler book. The sampler book doesn't do much of nothing. But that's something to think about, especially for next year, since I already free comic book day has passed. I have to plan for that ahead of time, have everything ready.
Oh yeah,
ready to go. It had to be like a story that's sitting around and I could go ahead. It's like, just release this here.
Yeah, and I'm trying to look up mine because I did have it here at one point. I had worked on one for Empire Comic Labs. I misplaced it, but Andy Shaggy Cordy and I put together one, and ours actually took a year, because we Blue Moon Comics had a whole bunch of local comic creators in the room, in a side room where we were like doing, autographs and everything and selling books. And we sat there and started plotting this horror tale for cemetery plots, which I've mentioned on, my show several times. And it was a story about a comic shop owner who was taking all of his bad customers, and it turned out his new girlfriend was a witch. And they would go into the back, get sucked into a magic portal where they'd get chopped up and made into hot dogs. And so that every time people bought something, they got a coupon for a free hot dog. And got rid of his bad customers that way. And I credit Stan Timmons, or actually I assign the blame depending on who you want to talk to. And her name was Anne, and her hot dog stand was called Anne's Franks. Because every sandwich has the potential to be good. And and the story went downhill drastically from there, I will say. But I actually own a page of the art. Andy Cordy gifted me the last page of the book. So, but not wanting to spoil it, and not wanting to try to transverse the room here. I thought I had it here. It'll show up the minute we go off the air. I know how that works. So, but anyway, that one took a year to put together. So, it does take some planning. So anyway,
before we get too far along, I forgot, I don't have a copy of it, but I got a PDF copy of Kyle Stark's new series. Depending on the cover that you get,
right?
It's either I hate this place or this place.
Okay, that type. Yes. Okay.
It is a horror story of the things that scare Kyle Starks. And it is fairly straightforward. It's wildly creative and entertaining. Yeah. It's a young couple that one of them inherits a property out in the middle of nowhere that her aunt owned. And when they go there, they find out why it's a remote property. And it's got just a little bit of everything. I can't wait to see what he's going to do with it, but it's definitely worth picking up. So I've been calling it I Hate This Place because this is a cursed earth kind of a thing.
Right.
And you inherit this nightmare property. And Kyle Stark said, if I had inherited something like this that entailed all the things that from endangering somebody I love to all these other things, I would say this place. So,
given that this guy used to write the Rick and Morty comics,
but I think it's a whole different creative team otherwise from what he did with the 6 Sidekicks of Trick or Treating. It's not going to be as funny as that, but I look for it to be as entertaining and as creative as that. So,
very cool, very cool. And I just located it.
Oh, there you go.
Lab Rats #4 with a Mark Lemieux cover. And like I said, Andy and I, along with some really cool people, we did our homage to horror comics. And there was a lot of frustration. Being a former comic book shop owner, there was a lot of frustration that went into this that got vented. But anyway, it's a nasty little story. I'm proud to say we did. So but I like the idea of doing a free comic book day. That's it. We ought to all do a free comic book day here for Comic Book Spectrum. There's a thought. So anyway, we've got some more comments here. Carl, thank you again. Thank you. And Joseph Morning is learning some stuff. Joseph, good to see you. He's a terrific little broadcaster there. And that's it, Donna. Your next book cover needs a dinosaur. And that would be interesting for a crime drama romance book. And Carl says, yeah, but think of the sales numbers. And Rick Bradley, how you doing, guy? Check out R&D Gaming on Monday nights on the Rad Publishing channel. And you're the cover deuces, Donna. That's right. And and Frank's. And Rick, what town do you live in? If you want to tell us, because Rick lives in the town that has the Ollies.
So
anyway, just getting that out there. But don't go there till he gets some books I asked him to pick up for me. But anyway, I think, well, do you have anything else to tell us, Clyde, or anything to offer here?
Well, we were talking before the show that they dropped the
West Frankfort,
Eisner
Illinois.
Awards.
West
Okay.
Okay. All right, just off of I-57 to the west.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you, Rick. Okay, yes, you mentioned the Eisner Awards. Who are some of the candidates?
Well, I didn't take down all of them, but there were some of them that were interesting. Like for the best short story, we have Generations from Superman Red and Blue, number 5, DC, by Daniel Warren Johnson. Cool. And we got Tap, Tap, Tap by Larry O'Neill and George Formas for the Green Arrow number 80 anniversary issue, 80th anniversary issue. The best single issue one shot, one that has to be a standalone and not part of a bigger work. Right. Marvel's Voices, Identity number 1, edited by Darren Shawn. Okay. Mouse Guard, the Owl Hen Caregiver and Other Tales by David Peterson at Boom and Archaea. Yeah. Titles. Nightwing number 87, Get Grayson by Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo.
Excellent.
Yeah. Wonder Woman Histories, The Amazons by Kelly Sue DeConnick and Phil Jimenez.
Very nice.
At DC. Best Continuing Series, we got Bitterroot by David F. Walker, Chuck Brown, and Sanford Green at Image. The Department of Truth by James Tynion IV and Martin Simmons at Image. Mm-hmm. Immortal Hulk by Al Ewing. Joe Bennett et al. At Marvel. Mm-hmm. Nightwing by Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo. Something is Killing the Children by James Tynion IV and Werther Dell'Edera at Boom Studios. Best Limited Series, Beta Ray Bill, Argent Star by David Warren Johnson at Marvel. The Good Asian by Pornsak Pietachon and Alexandre Tuffengale at Image. Uh-huh. The Many Deaths of Layla Starr by Ram V and Philip D'Andre. Stray Dogs by Tom Fleece and Trish Forstner at Image. Brian, hold on to the fez. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow by Tom King and Billiquis Evely at DC.
Yeah. That was awesome. That was a great series.
Yeah. I thought of you when I read that they got nominated.
Oh, fantastic.
Best New Series, The Human Target by Tom King and Greg Smallwood at DC. Mm-hmm. Nice House on the Lake by James Tynion. Notice how many times James Tynion's name is coming up here. Yeah. He's the one that wrote The Closet number 1 that I reviewed over at Comics Bookcase. So,
right. Tom King's right behind him.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Alvaro Martinez Bueno on the DC Black Label. That's The Nice House on the Lake, which is a series I've been following. It's quite good. Right. Not All Robots by Mark Russell and Mike Diodato Jr. for the AWA Upshots. Uh-huh. Radiant Black by Kyle Higgins and Marcelo Costa at Image. Nice. Ultra Mega by James Herron at Image Skybound. Best Writer, Ed Brubaker for Destroy All Monsters and Friends of the Devil at Image.
Okay.
They've just samples of the things that they've done this year.
Right.
Kelly Sue DeConnick, Wonder Woman Historia and the Amazon Book 1 DC.
Nice.
Philippe Melo, Ballad for Sophie. Mm-hmm. Ballad for Sophie, that is, Top Shelf. Ram V, The Many Deaths of Layla Starr. That's over at Boom Studios and the DC Swamp Thing title. And Carnage, Black, White, and Blood. And Venom at Marvel.
Yeah.
James Tynion again. House of Slaughter. Something's Killing the Children.
Yeah.
Wind. Nice House on the Lake. Etc. 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 He has a lot. He's got more than about anybody else in this in this listing here. Best Writer Artist doing both work. Alison Bechtel on The Secret to Superhuman Strength. Junji Ito gets nominated here. For things like Junji Ito's Story Collection and Love Sickness. Daniel Warren Johnson, again, the Superman Red and Blue and Beta Ray Bill.
Oh, cool.
Will McPhail, he did a graphic novel for Mariner Books. Barry Windsor Smith gets nominated, mainly because of his Monsters Fantagraphics work here.
Right. That was beautiful.
Best Penciler Inker or Penciler Inker Team. Philip Andre and the Many Deaths of Layla Starr at Boom Studios. Phil Jimenez, Wonder Woman Historia, The Amazons. Bruno Redondo over for Nightwing at DC.
Cool.
Aesop Ribic for Eternals, and P. Craig Russell's Norse Mythology at
beautiful.
Dark Horse. Cover artist Jen Bartel, David Mack, Bruno Redondo, Alex Ross, Julian Totino Tedesca. And I'm sorry if I get these, if I pronounce these wrong. I wasn't really prepared to give the whole list. Yoshi Yoshitani. And now the Comic Con International put forth these inductees into the Will Eisner Comic Award Hall of Fame for 2022. And they are EC founder and publisher Max Gaines.
Oh, good.
Writer Mark Grunewald.
Grunewald, yeah. Longest running Captain America writer, too.
Yep.
I own the book with his ashes in it.
Ah, there you go. Okay. British illustrator Marie Duval.
Oh, okay.
Cartoonist Rose O'Neill, creator of The Cupies in 1912.
Yeah.
Filipino-American artist Alex Nino for DC, Marvel, Warren, heavy metal work.
Beautiful.
Artist P. Craig Russell, best known for Elric, his adaptation of opera to graphic novels, and his collaboration with Neil Gaiman, including things like The Sandman and Coraline and American Gods in Norse mythology. Now, the judges also have to choose 17 nominees, and then there'll be voters that'll pick 4 out of these to go in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
The 17 nominees are Howard Chaykin, Jerry Conway, Kevin Eastman, Steve Englehart,
good,
Moto Hagio, Larry Hama, Jeffrey Catherine Jones,
right?
David, oh my gosh, Mazzucchelli.
He did the art on Batman Year One.
Ah, okay.
And was also the artist on Born Again with Frank Miller on Daredevil.
Cool. Jean-Claude Mézières, Grant Morrison, Gaspar Saladino.
Longtime letterer for DC and Marvel.
Yes. Jim Shooter.
Perfect.
Gary Trudeau. Ron Turner.
Yeah.
George Tuska.
Nice.
Mark Waid. And Kat Ironwood.
Very cool. That's an impressive list. And I remember hearing about a couple of the foreign names, and they're both very, like there's an Asian gentleman there and a French gentleman. Both of them were very influential. One, I think, did one of the very first comic books in France, I think. So, but yeah, that's a pretty impressive list of, potential nominees there. All of them with pretty sterling credits. So, yeah.
I liked seeing George Tuska's name on there. He was I would consider a journeyman artist for a long time. And he was one of those I didn't appreciate early on, but I came to appreciate his embellishments when he inked a lot of stuff too that carried his trademarks, and yet he could make an artist look really good. He would make a difference. So
yeah, I think I first noticed him on the old Thunder Agents comic, but it was one of those things where he could do a story and be ultra serious. And he'd pull it off, and then he'd do one that was funny as hell. Like he'd do some of the Weed. I remember one where Weed Wiley of the Thunder Squad had fallen under the spell of the Iron Maiden, and he was like trying to steal Dynamo's Thunderbelt and everything, and it was goofy as hell. But he pulled it off, and it was so good. And plus, he was on Iron Man like forever.
He was.
I remember when he first got on there, and he was inked by the great EC artist Johnny Craig,
and he did work. He did work on the early, some of the early issues of Luke Cage Hero for Hire.
Yes.
That's where I first clued in. As like, because he did some work for DC that I was like, ugh. And then I saw him on that, and I'm like, okay, he has a real touch and a real talent here.
Yeah, he's got some real chops. I also remember him doing a run on Teen Titans, inked by Nick Cardy.
Oh yeah, yes,
Oh,
yes.
those
yes.
were beautiful. Those were
Mhm.
totally beautiful. The man was a terrific storyteller. Plus, he did World's Finest for a long time,
Mhm.
and he was one of those people that Vince Colletta gets a lot of crap for his rushing through the artwork, but there were
Mhm.
some pencilers like Kirby or George Perez that he could work on and not really drag the work down. And Tuska
Mhm.
was in that group, I think. And
Mhm.
I remember reading an interview with George Perez fairly early in his Marvel career where he was giving himself assignments to improve his art. And one was he was inking, or rather, he was trying to draw Steve Rogers and Barry Allen and Donald Blake.
Hmm.
And to give them more of a individual personality than just a
Yep.
blonde white guy.
Yeah, yeah.
And he said also, getting it back to Tuska, that he was also trying to improve his hands, drawing hands, which are, artistically speaking, one of the toughest parts of the human anatomy to draw, unless you're Rob Liefeld. Because there's not like 42 bones in the human hand, 46 bones in the human hand. And he said that one of what George Perez did was he sat down and emulated George Tuska's hands.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, I would love to see Tuska win. There's a whole lot of people on there that I wouldn't mind seeing a win by their name because they've done some great work over the years. So, but let's see, we've got some people here. Yes, Rick Bradley says West Frankfort, Illinois. Thank you, Rick. I appreciate that. And thank you, Carl. I know Carl's probably and Donna are heading over to see Joe Dog McKeel on Stupid O'Clock. Give them our love. And Rick Bradley says a free comic book day book with all 5 of the Comic Book Spectrum crew. Fighting Monsters candy. Such would be great. And Fighting Monsters and such. No candy. Typing with a squirrely infant on your lap.
We can put Candy in there. We don't care. She can fight with us. It's all right.
There we go. See? Yeah, we'll find some of that terrible chewing gum that used to be in the old 70s gum packets. We'll put that in there too.
Maybe we'll do a monster story where the gum is not chewed by us, but the gum chews us instead.
Oh, chewed from the inside and chews back. Oh my God.
I think that's been done before, actually.
Yeah. Oh, Jody McFee, when you come back, we've got a script ready for you. But anyway, and this is how the Lab Rats thing started too. It was just us throwing ideas around, and then I kind of took on the role of writer. I know it's foreign to me, but to pull all the suggestions together into a comic. And I remember Stan Timmons, and he's like, "You really put that joke of mine in?" And I'm like, "Yes, I did."
You should know better than to say things in front of a writer.
Exactly.
If you're not careful, it'll find its way in a script.
That's right, by God. I steal from the best. So anyway. Oh, but no, thank you for finding it, Clyde. Oh, and I do want to share one thing here while we have a moment. Let me find it. Share screen. Chrome tab, people messaging me. I'm not there. Let's see. Here we go. The Fab Five. I remember them. And here we go. I think. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. I think I've got it here. This is going to be the world premiere of this. So let me make sure this is. Okay, yes, I've got it. There we go. Let me make sure it shows up and share. And let's hope that's it. Yes, it is. Here we go. Are you ready, Clyde?
I'm ready. Hit me.
Okay, this is a potential. This is going to be a cover for one of the series of The Terrors.
Ooh. Oh, yes.
Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you, because it
matters to your readers.
It matters to me, by jingo. Isn't that beautiful?
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yep.
Yeah, so that's going to be a potential cover one of these times. So be on the lookout for that. We are in the process of editing the first book in the Terror series, and yes, there will be more because I had so much fun writing it. So, and if Jeffrey wants to keep giving me covers like that, I will keep doing books as long as he gives me covers like that. So, so anyway, and we're going to be working on some projects together. But I thought I'd premiere that for everyone here. You're welcome, and we'll stop sharing that. There we go. and we're coming in on 2 hours here, which for us is pretty. Some of our shows lately, that's a pretty light day. So, do you have anything else that you want to discuss, Clyde?
Well, we got to go to the movies and see Doctor Strange.
Okay.
And the Multiverse of Madness. The first time we've been to the movies in over 2 years. So,
wow.
I think it's a very solid entry as far as the next phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It is very trippy, which a Doctor Strange movie should be. I believe.
Right.
So if you get a chance, go see it. We were very fortunate. We were trying to hit a time when the attendance was low, so that with COVID kind of flaring up again, we were being careful. But we were the only two, besides the concession clerk named Kirby, letting us in. Yeah, it was meant to be.
Oh my God, how cool!
But we enjoyed it, and it is if you can see it on the big screen, I would encourage you to do so. It definitely is one of those that does well. In fact, they have a 3D showing here. We didn't catch that one, but I can definitely see why a 3D showing would be nice, because it has graphics in it that yes, and yes.
I could see that.
So,
wow. Well, one thing, I haven't seen it yet, but I know a little bit about it. I cannot imagine picking a better Reed Richards. John Krasinski is it.
There was a big fan service because the fans were clamoring for that.
Oh yeah.
And they got it. That's all I'm going to say.
They got it for a little while.
I won't say
spoilers. We won't say it in case you're like me and haven't seen it yet. But you peeked on Wikipedia. But anyway. No, it's cool. That's very cool. And there's more Marvel movies to come, kids. So start getting those paper routes ready if anyone's still got one left. But
well, take your grit and push it. Just push your grit. That's all.
That's right. And sell those flower seeds and all the stuff.
Greeting cards and
American
everything.
Greeting cards. That's it.
Yep.
That's right. All the stuff from our misspent youth. So.
It was National Sea Monkey Day earlier this week, so that was, speaking of old comic book ads, there you go.
There you go. Yeah, I used to have the sea monkeys. Those were
me too. Yeah, Brian Shrimp. Brian Shrimp is amazing.
Mine just sat there and just was like, it just turned into this pink goo.
I was impressed with the mythology that they've created, the artwork that they created, and how people are still, if you go over to DeviantArt and you look up some sea monkey art, there's some really brilliant artwork that even today is still inspiring. The ads, more than anything else, are still inspiring people to make really cool sea monkey ads, sea monkey art.
Definitely. And Rick Bradley is threatening me now. He goes,
"Oh no,
I've got a pretty cool comic book idea. I'll have to run by you, Brian." Well, you'll have a chance this weekend. I am going to be at Primo's Pizza at 604 East Park Street, Suite A in Carbondale, Illinois. The Greyhawk Gaming Guild has put together a gaming day. It's 12 solid hours of gaming fun from 10 in the morning till 10 at night, and I will be there from 10 until at least 2 o'clock.
But before that, you have another appointment, I do believe, on Saturday night.
Oh yes, that's right. I was going to get to it when we close down here.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
No. That's fine. You can't red my mind, and you ought to be grateful. Anyway, it's this terrible place.
Yeah.
Make him stop. But anyway, no. Get the Brillo pads. I need something for my brain. But
Purell.
If Joe doesn't show up, I'm going to be Joe for a few minutes. So.
Okay.
So, and it sounds like Joe has to deal with outside things. So I'm thinking maybe that's a good cue that maybe we should get out of here and then just leave Joe in here, and he could be like, "What the hell happened to everybody?" But anyway, tell you what, Clyde, why don't you start us off? Tell everybody how they can keep up with you, sir.
Well, for one thing, you can sometimes find me on Thursday nights right here at Comic Book Spectrum. But otherwise, I am an independent author and contributing writer at a lot of different places. If you want to find me online, go to Comics Bookcase, and go to doomrocket.com. I have either for Comics Bookcase, I have weekly comic book reviews there. Excuse me. At Doom Rocket, it's more of a monthly kind of a gig. But while you're at Doom Rocket, look up their Casual Wednesdays podcast. They just did a review, both spoiler free and then a spoilers section, well flagged ahead of time, so you don't have anything spoiled that you don't want, for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So check them out for their podcast and for their Doom Rocket reviews. You can follow me on Facebook at Clyde Hall or Radiating Positive Vibes with author Clyde Hall. On Twitter, I'm at CJ Hall 1984. And you can find me at Stormgate Press, the home of the finest in new pulp fiction, including, I've covered it up. Oh, here it is. Tim Bruckner's Major Marjorie. Dun, dun, dun. It's out right now. It's got a story by moi in there. And Stormgate Press is becoming a new pulp powerhouse. As we were talking before, they won Pulp Factory Awards last year and again this year, multiple awards. So if you want to read some award-winning new pulp literature, check out Stormgate Press. You can find us at Amazon. You can also find us at www.stormgatepress.com. Brian, back to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Clyde. Thank you for being here tonight. I appreciate you, man. Well, we were going to give him a chance to, imagine Joe D. McFee sitting here. And if you check out that link tree, link with Silvolt there, that is Joe D. McFee, and you can follow all of his great broadcasting, including on Saturday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, when he does from the Desk of a Small Press Publisher. Now, this weekend is going to be a big one for Joe because let me get up to where I need to be. He's got an address there, that bit.ly address that it'll take you to a Kickstarter page. Saturday, he is going to launch a Kickstarter to fund the next issue, number 7 of his great book, Amazonia. Which is, yay for him. Super.
Yay.
And the book is also available on Comixology. But what's going to be special about it, he's going to launch it during the day. And then at 10 o'clock that night, on his great broadcast from the Desk of a Small Press Publisher, he is going to have a launch party live where y'all can check the book out, and he's going to be talking about what went into the book, the history of the book, and where it's going to go, and also details about the Kickstarter campaign, which, by the way, it says it's for Amazonia issue 7. You can also get issues 1 through 6, and I urge you now, before Saturday, please go to this address, the https://bit.ly/Amazonia issue 7, because there's a button there that we would like you to just take a moment and just push. It basically says, notify me when this campaign goes live. It does not obligate you financially in any way. All that means is when Joe pulls the trigger and says, this is live, you will get an email reminding you that you did this. You are under no obligation to pledge for it. But there's going to be a whole lot of great reward levels, including alternate covers, the opportunity to get issues 1 through 6, and all kinds of great stuff from the mind and pen of Joe D. McFee. And you've seen him working on the book here on the show. So definitely check out Saturday night from the Desk of a Small Press Publisher on YouTube. And by the way, the show is going to have a guest host for at least an hour. And it is going to be, hi, folks. How are you? Anyway, please check out this address here. Check out Amazonia and definitely check out Joe's his address there that he had on the screen, where you can find out all kinds of things about Joe and follow him on all social media. Meanwhile, I'm at risingtide.pub, where you can follow my broadcasts. You can see what books I've got, including the Major Marjorie book that Clyde so wonderfully described. Yay, you, my man. And also from Crazy 8 Press and Becky Books, a brand new trilogy if you're interested in the Batman 1966 series.
Pow! Sam.
I know. Memorize these titles. Ask for them by name. But anyway, do a search for me or Jim Beard. But anyway, it's from Crazy 8 Press and Becky Books. And each book is covers one season of the Batman television show with Adam West and Burt Ward, along with the movie. And I will have all 3 books at the Greyhawk Gaming Guild this coming Sunday from 10 to 2. But anyway, they're great books. Also, you can check out Snow Shorts from Ben Books. Yeah,
award winning.
I know. I'm still coping with it. I'm telling you, it's not easy being respectable. But anyway, my series, Snow Ambition, is in this book. You can also get it in solo ebook form, available on Amazon, also at abrahamsnow.com and bobbynash.com. This has the award-winning story. Yes, Brian won a genuine award for it, and he's still over the moon about it. But please check this out. There's a lot of good stuff in there. And also, please check out our broadcasting on YouTube. Tomorrow morning, we'll be back with Never Mind the Furthermore, the interactive conversation show for creatives. We expect you to be there. All right. And
Brian,
we're going to be heading into the weekend there. And so while we have this opportunity, I'd like to thank Joe D. McFee for showing up and Clyde Hall,
Brian,
being here.
Let's also remind everybody to go and back Nebulizer number 2.
Yes, thank you for reminding me that. Brian Rahman, who cannot be here tonight, and Brian and Eric, I hope you're having a good time tonight. The Nebulizer number 2 is in the last 2 days, I believe, of funding. Now Brian has made his goal on here. Now we're going for stretch goals, and I think he needs 6 more people to reach 100 backers. So please, when you see this, go to that address down there and check out the Kickstarter campaign. And there's the thing where you can just pledge $1 just to give him an attaboy, and that will still count as one pledge. And if we can get him to 100, that's going to help the guy on his next campaign. But anyway, the Nebulizer is a 3-issue limited series. The first issue is out, and you will be able to get it in this campaign. The Nebulizer, it takes place in a post-apocalyptic world where this young guy has a full-body nebulizer suit to protect him against the mutant allergens that are attacking him. And his AI computer is his only companion there. The first issue was funny, and it tugged at the heartstrings, too. And the art is beautiful because it's by Brian Rodman, who himself is beautiful. And, yeah, there he is. There he is. Did you get the roofer straightened out?
Yeah, no, it was just a lot of other stuff that went along with it, and how it is, the pay as you go type technique.
I do know. But anyway, please check out the Kickstarter number 2 for Nebulizer there, and you will be able to get issue 1 while you're there. And like I said, we are in the closing hours of that campaign. So when you see this, hop on over there and pledge to that thing. And Joe, we were talking about I'm going to be on your show on Saturday night.
Yeah.
And Joe will be selling a dog. I don't approve of it, but he's selling a dog on Kickstarter. What's his name?
Her name is Christy.
Hi, Christy.
They talking to you. They talking to you. Yeah.
AKA Wonder Christy. Hi, Christy.
Hi, Christy.
Hi.
We could have a show with Christy and Luna and Eric's dogs.
Yeah. And we could bring in Quill.
You could bring in Quill. I could have Cookie's hands in here.
I could bring in Casper, but she is not. Usually, if you want her to be in a place, she will be anywhere but that. So I could try, but
maybe I could borrow Carl's cat.
Yeah.
Which I need psychiatric help if I do that. But anyway, so Joe, I did talk about your link. And the show we're doing Saturday night. Is there anything else you'd like me to add, or you'd like to add?
I hope that everybody shows up. Bring a friend, bring your mom, bring your grandma, bring everybody.
Bring enemies.
Ask whatever questions that you want, because, like I said, it's I'm trying to do. This is my first ever launch party. And normally I'm up here, it's it's the first time I actually feel that I'm not 100% by myself on this. And I'm up here I'm ready for this. I'm not excited like everybody else, like how you had Eric S. Hawkins excited. how you have. I'm like, okay, this is my 7th issue. This is like my 6th total crowdfunder.
Yeah.
However, like I said, my record with crowdfunding is so I had 4 failed ones before. So I'm like 3 and 4 when it comes to that. But that's neither here nor there. But the major thing is issue 7 is ready. We're going to bring it to Kickstarter. The only thing we're asking for is help with getting it printed. And the more we get back on this, the more free books you're going to probably end up getting, because a lot of our stretch goals is going to be the variant books that we had prior. So if you don't have like a 10th anniversary #1, you would end up getting one for free if we hit certain stretch goals. Nice. We have like keychains, stickers, and stuff for like the very first stretch goals, and everything else is variant covers. Even with our add-ons, we could add variant covers, and the variant covers that we have for stretch goals and the variant goals that covers that we have on add-ons, they are not the same. So you don't feel like, oh, maybe I should wait for this stretch goal, because the ones that's in the stretch goals are different from the ones that are on the add-ons. So it's a lot to go into it. Besides, I want to unveil the new video, and that's the key thing. And it took me some thought to do it, but I want people to see it, because I'm trying to get away from, hey, I'm Joe D. McFee. This is Amazonia #7. I want you to do this, that, and the other. I want to get you involved in the story as best as possible. And I'm pretty much kind of trying to do it at the trailer as a episode recap. So,
ooh, nice.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that. That's
and this is a launch party.
Yeah.
Apart from anything else, this is not since the salad days of NASA has there been a blast off like this. So
I think we found a better host than me.
No. How did Lisa say from Weird Science? Is like, oh, we're just going to have a couple of friends.
Whips, dips, chains.
Yeah.
Chips, dips, chains, and whips.
Yeah.
There we go.
But no wax on the nipples kind of thing. Not quite that far.
Yes.
People, speak for yourselves. Anyway, whatever I need to get through the night. But anyway, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great time. So please, everybody, come see us at 10 p.m., 9 p.m. Central on Saturday night from the Desk of a Small Press Publisher. And while you're there, please give the Amazonia 7, that you want that notice when it gets put out, because then Joe gets a boost from the Kickstarter gods. And
just don't show up with your Rex Harrison hat trying to order people about.
Right now we're 40 people. We're way beyond what we normally are at, but we still got a couple of days. If we get to 100, we get to 100, but we're at 40 people following strong as of right now.
We can still get that 50,000 goal that I have in mind. So let's get those 50,000 people in. Sign up, okay? Pretend you're in Chicago like Joe and bring your dead relatives in to sign up. So
right.
There you go.
Yeah,
I mean, we're in the middle of election season. It's like you should see all the commercials that we've been seeing about for the.
Clyde's no, I don't.
That's going on there.
I intentionally don't look at them, and you know what? They still send me literature in the mail every day.
I am still getting emails from my Illinois representatives, and I've lived here for 7 years, 8 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And I've written them repeatedly, please take me off your mailing list. And they're like, nope, I got more mail. Here you go, Brian.
You count as a number. Here we
go.
Even though you live in a different state.
Yeah, that's right. It's like, that's not how this works, people. So anyway.
like they say, it's like, if you're not voting twice, you ain't doing it right.
Exactly. Vote often. But so anyway, we're gonna have a good time on Saturday night, so please come join us. It is going to be fantastic. So and gentlemen, thank you both very much for tonight. You've been awesome as always. And now I will close out the show here. saying I'm Brian K. Morris, RisingTide.pub. And like I said, everything that you need to know about me is right there. Broadcasting. You can sign up for my free monthly newsletter. And check out Never Mind the Furthermore tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., 9 a.m. Central, where it's the interactive creative conversation show. We insist you be there. And as always, we want to thank the people that keep the show going, namely our Patreon subscribers, whose financial help keeps the Rising Tide moving. And if you want to be seeing your name on this card, as well as helping with what we do here, please check out www.patreon.com/Brian K. Morris. And see the perks you get for being my friend. And also, we want to thank our sponsors for tonight, Rising Tide Publications. Check out the Terrors coming out later this year. And you saw that second cover by Jeffrey Hayes. Well, if you want something like that on your publication, whether it's a comic book or a novel, then you need to check out Plasma Fire Graphics when the look of your book matters to you.
You've worked hard and written a great book. Now, it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasma Fire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
Thank you, Plasma Fire Graphics, for your ongoing sponsorship of the Rising Tide shows. And there's nothing left to do but to tell you all thank you for being here tonight on Comic Book Spectrum. We'll be back hopefully with a full cast next week. And we'll be reviewing some more comics and talking about the comics industry and answering your questions. So as always, my friends, thank you for being here. And remember, stay smart, stay safe, wash your hands, and never apologize for being awesome. Have a great week, everyone. And we'll see you Sunday in Carbondale, Illinois, and we'll see you here next Thursday on Comic Book Spectrum. Have a good week, everyone.
Thank you for watching Comic Book Spectrum, a Rising Tide Broadcast Network production. Please join us next week for another look at comics, past, present, and future. If you enjoyed this, please give the show a like and be sure to subscribe and share it with your friends. To receive our free monthly newsletter, go to www.risingtide.pub and be sure to give the Rising Tide Broadcast Network page on Facebook a like in order to receive news about upcoming shows, including Clever Title Pending, Stupid O'Clock, Clever as Hail, Comics Chaos and Sass, Tidbits and Scribbles, the Historical Fencing Guild, and Never Mind the Furthermore. See you next week.